Many thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagbobo. We've got quite a show for you today. I mean, it's reeling from the previous days of conversation regarding governance and then, of course, opposition politics. And I mean, a whole lot has just been going on, and we've been covering it right here, especially and most importantly, hearing from the opposition right here in Nigeria. But this time around, we'll move away from talking with the opposition now and just look into, what I mean, public affairs analysts are saying about what's going on in this country. So let's give you a running of our talking points. We'll be looking at Nigeria under Tinubu's watch. And then we'll also talk about alleged corruption in revenue generating agencies. And we'll look at government efficiency and the role of opposition. Our guest today is no stranger to the show. He is Abraham Adogolinu Agbo, public affairs analyst. He's smiling. He's a business development expert and good governance advocate. Thank you so much for being with us once again. So can you do the honors of teaching me how to pronounce that?
Thank you, Vala. The name is actually pronounced Adagoloino.
Oh,
that is the father has come to the son's house, like reincarnation.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Okay, we'll take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll break down the conversation so we can begin. Now, President Bola Tinubu on Monday and Tuesday presided over the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Council Chamber of the State House in Abuja. Before the commencement of the meeting, President Tinubu swore in 21 Federal Commissioners of Revenue Allocation and Fiscal Commission, and of course the National Population Commission, and 8 new permanent secretaries as the State House Council Chamber. There's just been a whole lot going on. The president has been out and about across the world seeking for investment opportunities. But in the midst of all this are some key issues in the country that are concerning for Nigerians. And much of the conversation, has focused on the telcos tariff hike, which the government is fully in support of, talking about a 50% tariff hike in prices. And there's been a lot of analysis and conversations about that particular issue right here on LN 24/7. Let's not forget, recently the federal government made comments about electricity and how it was going to go up again because government is working towards being done on paying the subsidies that has been paid so far. So there's just quite a lot on the plate of the presidency. But I think in our conversation, Mr. Abraham, about the president and what he's doing, he's pretty clear on what he wants to do. It doesn't look like the president is about to change. So we've been having these conversations about telco's tariff and how it's going to impact Nigerians, or looking at all that we had to deal with in 2023, looking at inflation and how they're going to address all of that. And now we're going back to the issue of electricity tariffs again, which they are saying will also go up again. And we just came out, from the decision or indecision now of Labour saying they wanted to protest. It's a new year and it's like all the drama is just unveiling before our eyes. So let's just talk briefly about Nigeria under President Tinubu's watch. It's 2025. It's been just quite a whole lot.
Yes, it has never really been that rosy with the government under President Tinubu as it stands. And the answers are very, very loud on the street and in the air. Since the inception of this particular government has been one issue or the other, and we keep witnessing all the negative aspect of the principles and the ideologies that this particular government is churning out. And we are not done yet. We are not done yet. We are still going to witness a whole lot of things that we negatively touch on the lives of the individuals, a lot of former Nigerians on the street there. But when you look at the tariff with regards to maybe the hike that we are talking about, I may not necessarily fault the companies in question, because if you look at all that is happening within the government policies and all the things that they've been churning out, it's also impacting on them negatively. They need to stay on board. You understand? And if only the government is sincere enough to show the citizenry that, look, what we are doing is for the benefit of all, and as such, you begin to see it from their own end as the sacrifices that they are making. But it's not so. It's not so, because the way they live their life, those of them at that particular level, you can see that they are still really lavishing the economy, and it's all about things that have to do with them. They are very egocentric, you know. So we still have a very long way to go when it comes to Tinubu, and take it or leave it. I am sure he's also beginning to garner ground for the second term already. And so this 2025, I have a mild feeling that we're going to see some positive things here and there, just to see how they can hoodwink us into believing that the government is now ready to fire on. And take it or leave it, come next year, it's all going to be politics preparation for 2027 election. Yeah.
Now, but the crux for the president has to do with the issue of whether what he's doing is not right or wrong, but in terms of how it is being interpreted by the masses. In terms of what he's been doing so far, would you say it is right? Would you say it is wrong?
Well, I cannot give a straightforward answer, because when we talk about the government generally, it's not really about the president per se. If you look at other ministries and the rest, you can pinpoint some things that are actually working out good, so to speak. But then when you talk about the generality, in totality, I don't think the president is actually really interested in the masses. But I'll give it to some of the ministries.
So
Okay,
who is the president interested in?
Personally, I can tell you for
Because
free.
he always says cabal. I'm here to deliver you from the hands of cabal. And we're still yet to, reconcile some of the comments from Oshomole at the National Assembly over former army generals being involved with illegal mining and all the resources that we are losing to that from that industry as a result of the will I call it corruption now, all the malpractices of. I mean, how do you reconcile someone who ran solely on the fact that, I mean, he said it several times, I have money, I don't need your money. I'm here to deliver you and save you from this menace.
Yes.
And how do you reconcile the reality?
You see, when you juxtapose the talk and the doing, you definitely know that there is a wide gap. You have money, agreed, and everybody knows. It's a fact that cannot be disputed. But having clinched the realities on ground, they are not showing that you have the interest of the country. Like I keep saying, if only we start seeing it from his own end as the day-to-day runnings of the presidency. Look at the humongous waste of money when it comes to maintaining or sustaining the presidency. And those of them there, does it really show that this is somebody that has money and is not really interested in the treasury of the country? So it doesn't really play out the way they anticipated us to envisage, to take it, because the realities are on ground. But like the point I was trying to make, if you are talking about the presidency as in having eye for the creme de la creme or the square pegs in square holes, there are a few of them, especially for those of us in the FCT. We may have a lot of our misgivings with regards to the federal ministry, the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. But I can bet you that that guy is really working. when you move around and you see a lot of, constructions going here and there.
Over the past week, he did a lot of
on net commissionings, and so the guy is really working. And a few other persons. Last 2 or 3 weeks, I was in Lafia. I went to drop a nephew who just got admission, and from Kefi down to Lafia, wow! I did not see any pothole. I was so pleased. So after a point, I reached a particular place and I saw a target. I said, okay, no wonder. Yes. And before Lafayette, I get another target. You understand? But I am not really perturbed. I'm not discouraged. If we can have things done like that in almost all the country, all the roads we have in the country, the better for it, even though you are going to pay for it. You understand? But it's going to reduce a whole lot of things, all this kidnapping or necessary insecurities that we are talking about, and even the wear and tear of our vehicles. So you can give it to the government from that particular angle. So we are watching, and I think this year, like I said, we will definitely see some positive things here and there, just for the fact that they need to be in power. You understand?
So in essence, you are saying Nigerians should ride on the wave of patience. That's something he's always told us.
Yes. Whether you like it or not, patience is one particular gift that God has blessed us with. You can't do otherwise. You can't do otherwise. But by the time you check the way people are living, you discover that everybody is really feeling it. Everybody is really feeling it. We just hope that they'll be touched to see to the plight of the individuals and come up with things that can impact us positively.
Now, in terms of governance, looking at the year, is still fresh. Our budget is, almost getting ready to be legalized at the National Assembly. What do you think that the president should do differently?
You see, it's all about the willpower. And it's in this country that we keep getting a budget year in, year out. And it's not really about the budget presentation or the passing into law. It's about the execution of those things that have been marked in the budget. In this country, we see a lot of things happening with regards to the previous years when you have budget, humongous budgets about some particular ministries, and at the end of the year, nothing seems to have been done with that particular budget. And you see, when it's getting to the end of the financial year, you see every ministry running up and down to see how they can scoop the remaining fund here, instead of allowing it to go back to the treasury so that it can be used subsequently. But in this country, does it happen? No. And then every year you keep seeing repetitions of items that have been maybe trashed the previous year. And they keep, it's so very worrisome. Well, let's see how it goes.
All right. Now, I wanted us to move on the conversation to the allegations of corruption in revenue agencies, most especially the ones that generate revenue. The Senate raised the alarm that billions of naira have left the federal government's coffers unaccounted for, with critical revenue generating agencies refusing to honor each summons. The Senate has, however, expressed anger as these revenue generating agencies undermine its summon to answer queries raised by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation about some of these financial transactions. Now, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Public Accounts, Senator Aliyu Ahmed Wadada from SDP Nasarawa West, explained that the unaccounted funds form part of the resources required for the development, stressing that affected agencies needed to account in line with legislative provisions that empower the Parliament to investigate them. And according to him, he says the Auditor General's report, which was submitted to the committee, has unraveled rots in some agencies of government, and it takes only irresponsible Parliament not to conduct public investigations, even as he was appalled at how these agencies conspire together and have taken the decision not to honor Senate Committee's invitations. The Chairman Public Accounts Committee also named the Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigeria Customs Service, Federal Inland Revenue Service, the FIRS, the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, as among the top government organizations that have vehemently refused to honor the Senate when invited, and Wadada has, however, threatened that the Senate would report the heads of these agencies to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu after another magnanimous opportunity. And I mean, just quite a lot to pick from there. But let's go on with some of the points that he raised. He said it is important for Nigerians to know under the so-called Ways and Means what happened under Ways and Means and why the Central Bank of Nigeria debited borrower and credited borrower. So Consolidated Revenue Funds account is government's account. And the TSA is also the government's account. And in charging the interest, instead of the interest to be charged to the Treasury account, they went again ahead to charge the Treasury account. And he said the Consolidated Revenue Funds account, which now has amounted up to over 6 trillion. And according to him, there was correspondences between the committee and the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy and the Debt Management Office, because of the faulty documents which they were not ready to answer to and have been evasive, adding that the report of the Auditor General of the Federation, which the affected agencies are running away from, covers 2019 till date. And the chairman of the committee disclosed that Nigeria's Satellite Communications Limited also was invited but failed to appear, including the Nigerian Police Force, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, amongst others. Your quick response to this. Now, this was put forward to the public on Monday when he had a press briefing. But I mean, all across the media, it seems we're just waking up to some of the things that he shared. I mean, this was something that also happened when Atiku Abubakar and El-Rufai were at that democracy convention, where a lot of things were said, and I think the information was not out to the media. An online platform took it, and then it blew up, and everybody started, to make sense of some of the allegations there. Now, let's get back to some of these allegations. What are your thoughts?
You see, it's good that the whole things, they are coming out now. But anybody who has really been following the trends in the country, we know that these are things that have been happening, and unfortunately nobody has taken this particular move to bring it to bear, even though they are well known to a lot of individuals. And thank God for social media. Whether we like it or not, the rot in the parastatals in the government, so to speak, they are so enormous. You understand? And whether I like it or not, I think, was it Senator Ndumi, one of the senators, like say, was crying out so much about some of these corrupt practices and how monies are disappearing unaccounted for. But nobody took him serious, because the web is a sort of web. The individuals involved, it cut across board. You understand? And that is why some of us will keep clamoring for the good hearts, those that have good hearts and good heads, to go into politics. Because if you have just very few individuals that are in the midst of these people, they will either kill you, or they will so frustrate you that you only shout and nothing will come out of it. Because the people that are supposed to champion this, the people that are supposed to take responsibilities, by the time these issues come before them, they throw it under the carpet. But I think I don't want to maybe conclude or my thought for now with regards to these particular incidents, because all eyes is on the presidency. Let's see how the president will react to this. Because by the time we listen or we see from his own end, we can conclude whether he's really serious or not. Because we have already given it to him that, okay, he's made already, and the cabals, they cannot really influence him. So if he's really out to help the populace, to help the masses, then it is time for him to put his second foot on the ground, full pedal, to see how some of these people will be brought to book. You understand? So it's really quite unfortunate, quite unfortunate.
Are you surprised that this is coming from someone who is from the SDP?
Well, I am not really surprised. I'm not really surprised. When the time for a particular ideology is ripe, Anybody can be used. You know, most of the things that we see, they are not just happening in the physical. There are some things that also influence most of the things we see from the spiritual angle, from the spiritual realm. You understand? So I'm not really surprised. I have always known and I've always believed that it's a matter of time. Most of the things that we are facing in this country, or most of the things that we are seeing, because take it or leave it, the country, we are like sitting on a keg of gunpowder that will explode any moment. And by the time it does, most people, they will definitely
let's get back to the National Assembly. They are the ones who confirmed some of these persons into position. So it appears confusing for someone like me, like you, basically, ticked okay for this particular person to serve in this parastatal an agency. So why is it difficult for them to come answer queries?
And that is the question. That is a question that everybody is, take it or leave it, they have the legal backing. If you summon somebody to come and appear before the House and the person does not respond positively, what do? Do you just come on air and begin to cry out? So if you summon an individual, we need to hear you on this, on that, and you give a particular time frame and the person refuses. Do you just keep quiet and forge ahead? No. So let's the House see what they can do with regards to someone in this particular, forcing them. If it requires, they said there was some to the presidency, so let's watch and see. You understand? But it's a case of an individual who is up there, high and mighty. You have the yam, you have the knife. It's just for you to cut at way, and then you are crying. Do you need somebody to come and hold your heart to cut the yam? So it sends a very pathetic, negative message to say that, okay, we brought this out, but maybe behind, could it be that the whole thing will even rub off on some of them there? You understand? So it's a question of the primary culprit. They will tell, don't worry, we need to bring this out. This is Nigeria, nothing will happen. Because if you come on board and you need to be open, you are definitely going to call me. Don't worry, we'll just talk about it and it will pass. And that is how it has been happening. You understand?
Now, do you think the National Assembly, the Senate in particular, is indicting itself? Because if you are not calling a spade a
that
spade,
is what it means. This particular, it's very, very, it's very glaring there. You understand? Like I pointed out, you have every authority to do what you need to do. What is holding you back?
So why say you're going to the president to report? Now, in what he said they've been magnanimous in terms of, probably okaying their budgets all the time. Because if you do that the first time, last year they had the same complaints when they came for budget defense, and they were like, okay, when we called you people to give us accounts of some of the things that you were doing, you did not have anything tangible to say. And we okayed everything for you. And now it looks to me that this is the same thing that will continue. Is that not aiding and abetting this so-called character being the corruption that is embedded in some of these agencies?
Oh, yes. And this is me, and this is my own opinion. You understand? I look at it from this angle that each time that budget needs to be passed, the authorities in charge, the authorities that need to give the tick, to give the go-ahead, they normally come out to try to shake the other opponents, the parastatals that have their budget, such that maybe behind they can get whatever they need to be given. That is how I look at it. If not, if you are sincere enough, okay, the government is a continuum. You passed a particular budget last year where you have a lot of questions, a lot of things that are glaring that you need to straighten, and you are overlooking it. Another year comes, they bring another budget, you make the noise with regards to the past, and then everybody talk about it. You still pass the budget for them, and then another year comes, you still. I mean, are we not tired of all this back and forth?
The same Senator Ndume who was suspended as a lawmaker till he had to apologize for the statements he made about alleged budget padding, was the same person that interviewed the central bank governor.
Yes.
And for him to speak on the budget performance of 2024, they had to have a closed-door session meeting. How is that not aiding and abetting?
You see, I don't know whether most of these individuals up there, they think that everybody is daft. that we are all stupid. We don't know anything. You understand? And so, but the steps they keep taking and then their actions, you can glaringly see that is different. I mean, what they are trying to showcase is completely different from what is happening. You know,
Because it begs back. I mean, I just wonder because if it's something that is of national security interest, you can
interest.
say,
Okay,
okay, let's go close doors. But for something that has to do with economy,
you can imagine.
why have closed door sessions? I mean, we watched I mean, we watched the United States, our capital, I mean, sessions, and there is nothing that is hidden under the sun.
You see, Bala.
Our mode of governance was directly copied
Yeah.
from America. So
You know, when you are in the public office, when you are either elected or selected to serve the public, if you are not a straightforward individual, if you have soiled your hands, you will not really be free in taking decisions. For example, if it's in my court to actually discipline you as a public figure, and maybe behind the scene, you have also, let go some things, in quote, for me. And by the time I'm trying to take the move, you may just hint me, boss, say you might chop yes more. In case I will, withdraw back and okay, but if this thing comes out, I'm going to be casted. And so you will do everything possible to see how you can show I will even give you the confidence, don't worry, it will not go anywhere. Because a lot of heads should have been rolling by now. With regards to most of the things that are talking about, I bet you nothing will happen. But I don't want to conclude. We give it. They say they want to report to the presidency, and let's see what Tinubu we say. Whether some heads will roll or it will be story as usual.
okay, now I want us to move to the EFCC, the Anti-Corruption Governing Agency.
Okay.
Do you think they are somehow restricted in a way from holding people who are currently in power accountable?
Well, and that is why most people they believe that the EFCC is like a tool in the hands of the government that is in power. If not, the EFCC has the authority to go after every individual that is found wanting. But I can tell you that there are sacred cows that cannot be touched. You understand? Whether we like it or not, the ones you see, that is my own personal opinion anyway, the ones you see, in the public, media and the rest of it, they are the ones that they feel that, look, nobody can speak for them. If not, the ESU should independently be championing some of this fight on their own. But then, who are you?
Because
when you are
look at some of the allegations made about the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Okay.
I mean, that has to do with finances.
Good.
Does that not fall within the jurisdiction?
Yes, it's within the jurisdiction of the EFCC.
So why are we hearing it from lawmakers and not EFCC?
Well, now that they may claim that they are not aware, but now that it has been thrown out, well, who knows? Maybe they have started their own underground investigations and the rest of it. We'll still give them time and see whether they will come up with anything positively. You understand? But it shouldn't be something that should be thrown out by the House before the EFCC will wait in. And like I say, who knows? Maybe the House is also trying to see how they can get chunk of whatever money that will accrue to these parastatals on their own behind the doors. So
now, I want us to go to the statement made by Adams Oshomole because he's one of the Senate chairman, I think, for mining industry with some of the comments that he made. And I recall in an interview on a platform like ours, he was making mention of the fact that there is no need to call names. What do you make of that assertion coming from a lawmaker in this country? You don't want to name names.
Yes.
And he categorically said that even as we are speaking, these activities are still going on. And that is coming in from a lawmaker.
Yes. You see, we are joking in this country. It should not just stop at reporting a particular case. What is wrong is wrong. You understand?
And thankfully, I mean, we thank God that he actually made that revelation.
Yes. I have to give it to him that he's one of the few senators that have been very outspoken. But then it shouldn't just stop at just the talk. If we need to report a particular case, let's bring it to a conclusive end with regards to, you mentioned the individuals that are there, except if you are not sure. But from the way he was talking, everybody expected that, okay, look, at the end, who are you, scared of?
But sorry to cut you short, sir. When a sitting lawmaker makes that kind of statement, do you need to do further investigations?
Where? And that is what we keep saying, because
shouldn't that lawmaker be summoned?
Exactly, and that is the point.
So what time do you need to make further investigations again?
In fact, in other climes where the system is in place, you get not just come out to make a particular comment and you go to your bed without being followed through to a conclusive end. Now, if only we have all the institutions that we have around us in the country that have been empowered to champion some of these things, their hands are tied. If not, if the institutions that are supposed to champion this, they are independent on their own. By now, all the names of whatever Adams Oshomole knows about this particular case that he has brought, we would have been seeing it on the front burner of the media and everything, and we will see the government that, following up. How can you just come up, you made such a humongous allegations, and then you go back, nobody is saying anything? No institution is following up, nothing. Huh? No, it doesn't work now. And I think the populace, we are so very, very docile in this country. If not, if only the masses can begin to clamor for true representation and true governance, most of these individuals coming on board, they will know that it's really a call to service. It's not just
in terms of the clamor. Don't you think Nigerians have done that?
Okay, where has it led us?
Has it been effective? We all monitored the August protest of last year. We saw how NLC battled with the federal government on some key issues last year. What other non-violent forms do you think Nigerians can do?
We don't
because
need
these
to
are
be
our representatives.
Yes, we don't really need to be violent, but the point I'm trying to make is we are supposed to be very consistent with our struggle, so to speak. It's not that maybe a situation will come up, you see everybody come out, we'll talk about it, after a while we'll go back and everybody is back to square one. It shouldn't be like that. Whether you like it or not, you see, these people in power, how many are they? The people in power, they are not as powerful as the people that elected them, that sent them to that particular place. You understand? So these are things that we are supposed to, encourage ourselves, such that we can begin to hold them accountable. Begin to hold them accountable.
Now, what does this say for the APC government? Still putting our searchlight on the National Assembly, because this is one of their key responsibilities. We've seen a lot of opposition lawmakers decamp to the All Progressive Congress. So what we had at the initial point of the election results being announced is no longer the same figure. You saw Ned, join, leaving the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. So would you agree with politicians who are making the allegation that there is an ultimate plot to stifle the efforts of opposition politics in this country?
But that is a fact. You don't need a prophet to tell you that. And the particular personality in the person of President Bola Tinubu that I know, who is presently in charge of the country, is somebody that knows his game very well. We are bound to see a whole lot of tactics here and there. Even as we progress, as we forge ahead towards the next electionary period. The present government will do everything to frustrate any opposition. Take it or leave it. Take that for free. You understand? And so, if we are serious in this country, the opposition the individuals that are on the other side, they should find a way of gelling together. You understand? And it's so unfortunate that, most of the political parties we have, they don't really have ideology, so to speak. Whenever it is not favoring a particular politician, he can always cross carpet. You understand? And the very moment he leaves a particular party for the other, which most often is the one in power, you discover that...
But some of them are blaming their political party internal crisis as the sole reason for why they are doing this.
Whether you like it or not, there must...
You know it's a fact.
There must be...
crisis in the PDP, crisis in the Labour Party.
Of course, yes.
But does that justify cross-carpeting?
That is one thing that we should be asking ourselves. And if you are really serious, if you have an ideology that you have sworn an oath to keep, whether there are crises or not, you face the crisis and solve it. Why must you leave it? Leave it for who? And take it or leave it, a particular government in power will also want to see how crises can be caused here and there in the camps of the opposition so that they can destabilize them. You understand? So these are still games and tactics that they bring on board. So if you have the interest of your party at heart, stay there, whatever it takes. Fix it. Why are you running away? Okay, if you go to a new party now and maybe there's another crisis, you keep running. That is to tell you that all these individuals, they are not for the masses. Everybody, whether I tell people that, look, everything on earth, interest, it begins with self and ends with self. Take it or leave it.
All right, we'll be right back to continue our conversations with Mr. Abraham Agbo. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll try to get into the conversation of government efficiency and the role of opposition, even though some people argue that, do we really have opposition in this country? We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues?
Order.
The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join Ellen 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
Apologize for saying that I was corrupt. I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
Watch politics now on Ellen 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now on Ellen 24/7.
Many thanks for staying with us. We continue with our conversation today, looking at governance and opposition. At the first beginning of the show, we talked about what the president is doing and, of course, looking into the allegation of corruption in some government agencies. But we want to look at the role of the opposition on the show today and how they can help our government be more efficient. Now, the opposition's right and duty, if it believes in the public interest or if it believes that public interest is at stake, is to oppose the government's policies and actions by every legitimate parliamentary means. In so doing, oppositions try to convince the electorate that they should change places with the government. Now, over the past weeks and months, we've seen political turmoil in the PDP, the Labour Party, APGA, and let's not forget Honorable Ned, who defected recently from the PDP, and not to talk of, the wave of defection that was witnessed last year with some Labour Party lawmakers dumping their party for APC. How does this administration get checked, cautioned, and rebuked? Many thanks for being with us, Mr. Abraham. Quite an interesting conversation that we've been happening. Just to continue from where we stopped before the break, looking at some of the corruption in some of these agencies, and then looking at Wabada, the lawmaker, who touched light on some of these issues, which we already know. And some of these lawmakers are very well informed about what is going on. So, who is the opposition now? Do you still think we have an opposition? Despite all this drama that we've been seeing on it.
Yes, of course. We have opposition, but not a strong one. And just like the last point I made before now, it's all about interest. It's all about personal interest. Most of the cross-carpeting you are seeing, and especially from the Labour Party members, is because they feel in this country, the government in power has all it takes to do anything, in fact, anything. And take it or leave it, we hardly vote in this country, and our vote hardly counts. You understand? If we need to get it right, I think some of the things that the opposition parties should be championing should be how to make sure that the system is in place. You understand? Whether we like it or not, the present government in power, if nothing happens to the leadership or the structure of the INEC, we are bound to have a repeat of what transpired last election, because it was very, very open based on what INEC came out to tell the populace, and the way INEC broadcast the whole thing all over the world. What INEC said INEC was going to do was completely different from what INEC carried out. And if we are really serious in this country as regards to maybe the third arm of the government, I'm talking about the judges that we have, they should be able to, as in, put it to INEC that, look, you say we're going to do ABC. Why did you do CDF? You understand? So we have a very robust, plan with regards to how to champion any particular thing in this country, but it always comes back to whatever we have in our mind. And we can't continue like this. So if the opposition is serious, they need to enforce it, to make sure that let the system, let the systems work.
But they've been doing that in the past election cycle. Every election cycle, there's always something INEC is amending to correct for, something that
for the previous
challenge the previous election. So I don't know what else should they do. Because it's just like reviewing the Constitution. The more you review and renew, it's like the more you review, the more you see.
You see, for everything that happens under the air, there is what we call the law of cause and effect. You understand? By the time you take up a particular action, you should be ready for the consequence or the consequences. You understand? These things, they are not cast in stones. They are very straightforward. You have the leader rules and regulations concerning a particular, what do you call it now? Process that you want to embark on. And then by the time the whole thing is concluded, by the time we check, but we discover that you didn't follow the processes. How comes nobody? It's so very annoying. And if nothing happens, you will see a lot of apathy in the coming election, so to speak, because everybody will just relax and tell you that, look, it's not about us. They will still have their way. You understand? So we need to begin to see it that, look, the opposition will begin to clamor for the systems to be allowed to flow freely. You understand? Most of these developed countries, why they are the way they are is because of the system. Even as the head of a particular country, you know that by the time you do otherwise, you will be summoned and you'll be questioned. But it's not in Nigeria.
Now, a house that is divided against itself cannot stand.
Okay.
That is what we are saying in Labour Party and PDP.
Yes.
In the PDP, you have members of the party fighting over secretary position. You have two people laying claim to the position of secretary, Okoye and Anyanwu,
yes.
And no one wants to agree for the other. You also have the issue of Damagun, who is a challenge for some members of the People's Democratic Party. Then you move over to the Labour Party. The same thing also playing. Obi looks like he has a faction. I wouldn't say, because they will always deny on this program. They've all denied that there is no internal crisis.
It's always like that.
So how do they forge ahead if they are doing all this fighting? Where is the time to start telling this government, this is not what you're doing right. This is what you need to do.
You see, and that is why these political parties, they should be very, very strong, as in with regards to the rules and regulations guiding them. Because I can tell you for free, the present government can also begin to go behind to fuel the situation they have on ground. How can a party not be able to summon two individuals that are, maybe at loggerheads regards to a particular position? And I mean, if a party says, okay, based on this particular criteria that we have seen, Mr. A step down for Mr. B, and Mr. B will insist, and the party cannot do anything. You understand? So whether you like it or not, the oppositions, they need to withdraw back and have a rethink, strengthen the cord between them, I mean, with the members, and see how they can be united together. Because like I tell you, see, this APC government that I see, the APC will not stop at anything to continue to cause crisis.
My imagination, because you have a party
that
has a constitution, and then you see them fighting in courts. Then you ask yourself, what was the purpose of having a constitution? How can political parties be fighting and getting their cases resolved in the court of law? Does it make sense to you?
You see, when you look at the whole thing holistically, it comes down to one point that, a party ordinarily should be running on its own. But if you check most of these parties, there are very key individuals, very few, that are sponsoring these particular parties. And these individuals, and that is why you can maybe hear most of them, they will come out to tell you openly that the party cannot do anything to them. Have you ever wondered, this is an organization that we are talking about, and an individual is so very boastful that nothing can happen to him, and the party cannot take any particular decision. So going forward, I think what the parties should be doing, they should not leave the running of the party for a few individuals. They could make it such that every member of the party contributes equally to the running of the party, so that nobody can have that particular might to begin to rubbish the party and do anything as it pleases him, and nothing happens to such person. We'll have a long way to go still when it comes to the political parties.
When you engage some of these politicians, the thing they tell you is that, oh no, we're going to the courts because that tells you that there is law and order in our particular party.
Then if they go to the law, the honor lies on the judge in question to check the book and say, what did your book say about a situation like this? You understand? They have to start from there first. It's only when maybe it's beyond the party policies and ideologies that the court can wade in and begin to use the other legal means to see how they can quell the tension or deal with the situation on ground,
So if you have political parties, anytime they release a press statement, is to be trying to, push a narrative over one of the differences that they are having amongst their members, rather than focusing on the matter at hand, which is governance. Would you say that Nigeria has successfully drifted to a one-party?
And it boils down to the whole thing that we keep talking about. Whether we like it or not, most of these individuals that will go and associate with a political party with the interest of serving the masses, it's not always that. It boils down to just one particular thing. It's personal interest. You understand? If not, if you are in a party and you see that things are not really working, maybe the particular government in power is derailing from the promises, you can begin to challenge that particular government in power. But no, it doesn't happen that way. You see them trying to, go behind to form associations, to form groups that we see how they can also penetrate and begin to get their own chunk of part of the cake. You see, in this country, you hear most of the politicians now who were rubbing shoulders with the particular government in power, but they have fall apart. They keep telling you, no, things are not done that way. When you were there, how often did we hear you speaking out the way you are speaking now? You understand? Now, by the time they find their way in, it's still going to be the same thing. You understand? So you keep wondering that somebody that has been so very vocal about a particular situation, all of a sudden he gets in there and he has joined the...
I want to take you to some of the comments made by our former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, where he made mention of the fact that after the 2023 general elections, he had some of these lawmakers to have a conversation, and he was made to know that, there's some of them who are under the payroll from this administration to behave that the way they are behaving. So then, what is the hope for efficient governance in Nigeria
Yes.
in the midst of this? And then also, finally, before we go, you also look at the All Progressive Congress Party that refers to themselves as progressive. On how are they going to fulfill that mandate of government efficiency, where we don't wake up one morning, even though we have thoughts and insinuations that there's corruption going on, but when it comes to like this, how do they clean their name from this menace?
You see, when it comes to clearing their names from the menace, whether they clean the name or not, it does not bother them. It's in this country that you will hear a particular politician will say one particular thing about himself, how he is going to do a thing, and he will do the opposite. He's not moved. He's not touched. So they are not really interested in their names. If we really need to get it right in this country, I think it's time that the ordinary Nigerians should begin to demand for feedback and to force it on these particular leaders to do the right thing. Because if they see that by the time they do whatever they want to do, that the masses will definitely come after them. Whether I like it or not, a time will come in this particular country that when they look at an individual and say, please go and represent us, the individual will tell you, I am not representing you, because they know it is really call to service. You understand? And until we get there, if we are looking at the parties to do it for even the oppositions, I doubt much if we are going to get it right, because all the individuals you see there, they are for themselves first before even thinking of another person outside there. So if you are talking about maybe getting it right for in this particular country with regards to the opposition, I see that it's a very long journey. It's a very long journey. We need to continue to be creating the natural awareness. Let everybody be in the know with regards to what is happening. Let everybody knows that, look, it is our responsibility to question our representatives, our leaders. It is our responsibility to force it on them to do the needful. By the time they derail, we should all come out, and those that need to shout, let them shout. Those that need to take action, let everybody, all hands must be on deck, So we all need to be swinging our hands, and keep them on their toes. Let them know that, look, even if nothing happens, it is going to go haywire. Everybody will know that this is what's real. And thank God for social media. Even they are trying to gag everybody now by saying that some things they are bullying, whatever.
Online bullying. How does a politician gets bullied online?
You can imagine. So if we are to go for them also, by then most of them should not be having their heads on their necks any longer, because you told us you are going to do this, and you didn't do it. So So we really need to wake up in this country. We'll continue to create the necessary awareness. We encourage ourselves. We talk when we need to talk. We shout when we need to shout. We go out when we need to go out, but peacefully,
Peacefully, very important. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Abraham.
Always a pleasure.
On the show, he is a public affairs analyst, business development expert, and good governance advocate. I don't think we can sound the alarm right here on the show. As a Nigerian, you should know that the power is in your hands, not to cause mayhem, but to hold your leaders accountable. And I always challenge our viewers and our audience. Do you know who your lawmakers are? Do you know who your local government chairman is? Do you know who your senator is? Do you know who your House of Representative member is? If you know the answer to that question, have you interacted with them? Because the key and the power is in your hands, is in my hands. And if we are able to do that, there is no way politicians at any level can and will do anything that is against the betterment of our country, Nigerians. And the truth is that we can't just sit down and just watch things go as they have been going in the past. It is time for us to rise up. If those we elected into office are not diligent enough to hold power accountable, then you can do that at your local level. And if that happens, who knows, maybe we won't see politicians cross-carpeting like they have been doing over this past few months. My name is Mono Balagugu. Many thanks for watching, and there is hope for Nigeria. Nigeria is a beautiful country. She will be great again, and the duty lies with you and I to continue to be good citizens of this great nation and continue to hold power accountable so that we can have a nation that is government efficient, and then its benefits is open for all, whether you're poor, rich, young, or old. Thanks once again for watching, and bye for now.